So we'll get this forward, and I'd like to invite on stage the next speaker who will be talking about some very, very interesting and useful stuff that you need to know about working with China, especially if you're a hardware startup. So I'd like to invite on stage Josh Liu. So Josh, please take the stage and tell us more about this subject.
Thanks. There you go. Cool. Just 1 second to change up. Good morning, everyone. My name is Josh, and today I want to talk about China. And then so, how many of you are working on a hardware startup? Anyone? One? Only one? Two? Three? Cool. And yeah, and then so how many of you are thinking about working on one in the future? Okay, I got more. Cool. Yeah, and hopefully this chat could be useful for you guys. And the next one. So I wanted to talk about myself first. And I know I look deceptively young, but I've been doing startup for 8 years. And then from consumer internet, enterprise software, to hardware companies, bicycle companies. And when I was a startup, I always think about how, as a founder, I can be resourceful, how I can get people, resources to get the things done. And certainly in the hardware space, I feel I actually got a lot of resources. Originally from Taiwan, I know a lot of OEMs, I know investors in China. And that's why now I'm on the other side of the table. And I want to bring the resources to startup in this space. And I'm also a part-time partner at Source Institute. And then so we are a group of thought leaders in entrepreneurship in lean startup. And we are thinking about how we can create next generation education stuff for entrepreneurs. So you are not making the same mistakes, and then we can help you to succeed faster. Okay, that's enough about myself. Okay, let's talk about China. What comes to your mind when you think about China? Sorry? Noodles. Okay, anyone? Rice? Oh, sorry? A band. Okay. Yeah, you? Market. What do you mean? Big market. Oh, cool. Yeah? Okay, cool. The writing. Yeah? Okay, a lot of food here. Yeah? Oh, okay, good, good. And the thing is, especially in the tech world, there are a lot of stereotypes about the Chinese tech companies or Chinese tech industry. And to be honest, a lot of people in the West think those Chinese are just copycat. It's true, and it is not true. And I'm gonna tell you why. And before I go into detail, I want you to think about, bear this in mind, what we can learn from China. And of course, you want, sorry? Kung Fu, yeah, that's one thing, right? So that's why you have a master. And I'm gonna give you a few examples. The first one is a company called Xiaomi. Anyone know them? Wow, many of them. Are they selling their products here? No. Yes, yes, no? Or the band? Yeah, okay. Because from what I know, they are not in the West Europe yet or America yet. And so you guys must know what they do, right? So they are a mobile phone makers, and they are now the third largest after Apple and after Samsung. And then have you guys heard of the term unicorn, right? So that means the company value more than $1 billion. And so there's a ranking of all the big unicorns. And the top one is Uber at 51 billion. And the second is them, 46 billion. So considering they are not even in the US or the whole Europe market yet, they are quite scary, right? No, you don't think so? Okay, I'm gonna convince you. And do you think that their product looks quite like Apple? Yeah. And then not only about their product, so that's their CEO, called Lei Jing, And that's his presentation at the product launch. Black t-shirts, the one more thing at the end of the pitch of the talk. Does that remind you of someone? Yeah, who? The dead man. Yeah, Steve Jobs. Yeah. And then you think they are really, really a copycat, and they are not really shying away from that. But when you think about what they do, when you think about it deeper, you realize that actually what they do is more than that. They know that in China, not so many people are willing to pay Apple price for a mobile phone. But people like beautiful, sleek, a nice design and nice spec product. So what they do is that they make a product look like Apple, but at a fraction of the price. And that's their core strategy. And their whole company is evolved around that. And how many of you actually would call yourself a Apple fanboy or fangirl? Anyone? How many of you have more than 3 Apple devices? Yeah, so you guys are fanboys and fangirls. Even if you don't want to admit it, you are. And the things about Apple is that they have a really, really loyal fans. Every time when they buy something from Apple, they feel excited, they feel special. And of course, of course, that they also have a really beautiful store, the Apple store. So when you go in, when you buy something, when you come out, you feel so good about what you have done. They make you feel really, really special. And that's why you are loyal. But think about you. If you are Xiaomi, can you do that? You cannot. You don't have that big margins like Apple at all. But how can you do to have a loyal fan base like Apple as well? So that's what they've been doing. They sell their products mainly online. But what they've done really cleverly is that once you buy products from them, you become an VIP of Xiaomi. So next time when there's any new product come to the market, you are the first person to know. When there's any exclusive deals, you are the persons to get it. And by doing that, but without spending all the money from fancy stores, they have the loyal fans, just like Apple. So when you think about their strategy and everything, do you really think they are just purely a copycat? Well, you decide. Okay, then let's move to the next company. Have you guys heard of this company called Wechat? Some. Okay, so that's a messaging app. And it's just like WhatsApp, but that's a Chinese one. And why is that so special? Because that is more than WhatsApp. That's like WhatsApp plus Twitter plus PayPal plus much, much more. So what they do is that they are building a super app of app. That's a platform of apps. And why do they turn into a company like that? So in the Western world, if you are doing a messaging app, social network, you focus on active users. You want to have as many people use your product as possible, as frequent as possible. And that's how companies like Facebook, like Twitter, like WhatsApp become where they are. But WeChat actually don't think that way. They think, what do you do with your mobile phone? And can you do that within WeChat? So they purely focus on mobile activity. And that is why that turned them into a very different company. And that is why a lot of Western VCs even analyzed why WeChat is so successful on monetization that the Western counterpart couldn't do. Let me give you an example. Now we are in a conference, right? So you talk to someone, you exchange business card, you go to find that person afterwards at LinkedIn. But that's not how it functions in China. In China, almost everyone use WeChat. Yeah? No, it's not because of that. It's more than that. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. The thing here is that the things they do is that they don't exchange business card. They scan each other's QR code. And then you have the person's information right away. And then You can add the business card information by taking pictures of that business card, and that will add to WeChat as well. So forget about the firewall for a second. From product point of view, that's actually a better experience than Twitter, than Facebook, than LinkedIn. That's much, much quicker and smooth. And let me give you more example. Celebrities actually now can interact directly with fans thanks to Twitter, right? But then when WeChat thinking about that, they want to do much, much more. What can celebrities do with fans? So that's why they actually build a really detailed analytics to tell you who are the active fans, who are the non-active fans, and what can you engage with them in a different way for different purpose. So that you can sell your concert ticket, you can throw secret meetup, you can do everything, almost everything that celebrity want to do with their fans on WeChat. Within WeChat, you can get a taxi, you can buy a movie ticket, you can do almost everything. That's why people call them the future of mobile commerce. And so WhatsApp, their average revenue per user is $1. How much is WeChat? Have a guess? 7. Yeah, $7 per user, per unit. Yeah? Are you trying to? Sorry. Okay, so the point I want to make is that initially I asked you guys, think about what we can learn from China. Apart from the firewall, apart from the copycat parts, actually what they are really good at is they take the ideas that works in the West, they apply their local knowledge, made it better for their consumer. And then when you think about yourself, can you do that? Can you know your users really inside out? Can you learn from why those companies become so successful in China? Okay, then you will say that, well, why should I care? I just want to do my hardware startup. Then fine, now I'm gonna talk about hardware in China. Have you guys heard of this place, ShenZhen? How many of you? Raise your hand. Wow. Scary. Okay, many people. So that's a magical place. Just like Silicon Valley. So it's magical in its own way. It's magical for hardware company. Why? In a radius of 50 miles, you get almost every person you need, every company you need. From ODM, OEMs, component suppliers, logistic partners, to even venture capitalists are all in that place. And that place is just 45 minutes train from Hong Kong. Very convenient. And that's why many people talk about that. Probably that's why you guys, many of you actually heard of them. But when you think about, okay, I am doing a hardware company, I want to go to that magical place. Don't do that just yet. Think about why. Why you want to do that. Why you should consider China. And there are a few reasons. The first one, if your cost of goods actually matter a lot to you, what does that mean? If let's say you are doing the industry robotic at 1 million, and then maybe your cost is, let's say, 500,000. And then so the difference of, well, another $10 costs will not really hurt your margin at all, right? But if you are doing the consumer goods selling at $100, increase of $5 on your costs will matter a lot to your margin, to your bottom line, right? And then if you are in the consumer space, doing that low price point products, like what I say, 100 or even less kind of consumer products, then cost means a lot to you. Then that's where actually China can really help you. The second one is about labor. So if your company needs complex, repetitive labors, then you can think about China. Why? Now, average hourly rate in China is about $5. Although it increased every 20 to 30% every year, but it is still much lower than the West. And the third thing is about volume. China is really good at shipping big volume of products. Do you know where actually Apple is shipping their iPhone from? ShenZhen. So if they can really ship new iPhone, no matter how successful your Kickstarter campaign is, they can ship your campaign. And that's their strength. And the fourth one, because they have a lot of OEM, ODMs working with big companies like Apple, like Samsung, those companies actually know what are the latest technologies out there to do specific things. And then you should leverage those knowledge so you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The last one, as I said before, that's an ecosystem that's integrated with supply chain, with logistic. So just like Apple, like you can do manufacturing, you can do assembly, you can do shipping all in ShenZhen in one go. You don't need to really find different locations and manage different players. And that's the magical part of that. So if any of those actually matter to you, then you can think about, and you should think about, China. Then you will say, oh great, then I'm just gonna get a ticket and I'm just gonna fly to ShenZhen. Don't do that, really. Why? Because like I am Taiwanese, so I speak Mandarins and I look like Chinese. We look the same, of course, same race. But even for me, I think actually doing business in China is hard. There's a lot of cultural nuance, even for me, is challenging. Not to say for you guys. And then in China, relationships goes a long, long way. If they see you as a friend, if you were introduced by some people they trust, then they respect you, then they are not gonna screw you up. But if you go there with like someone from the West with a big check, you say, oh, I raised 5 million on Kickstarter, now I'm gonna do manufacturing. And then they will see you as a person with money. And they will milk you. They will milk you until you are dry. And there are so many horror stories about things go wrong in China. And I can tell you guys later, but then don't do that. And so what can you do? Find some trusted partners. So if you are thinking about accelerator, there are a few accelerators are really good at connecting resources from China to the West. So Accelerator is one, and then Highway 1 is one. Sadly, they are based in San Francisco now, but they are good examples, and they take companies globally anyway. And also you have some great companies like Dragon Innovations, like PCH. So they are more like manufacturing consulting firm. If you have budget, if you raise money already, and then they can really help you by their relationship, by their resources, by their connections. And I will also want to talk about a place called Taiwan. Do you guys know Taiwan at all? Yeah? Great. That's where I'm from. That's a small, small island next to the big, big China. And actually, we invented the concept of OEM, original equipment manufacturing. So in 80s, we built computers for big brands, for IBM, for a lot of big brands. And then we keep doing that. We keep leading the technologies to do different things. So in 90s, it became semiconductor. In 2000s, it became TFT LCD panels. It became IC design houses. And what I mean about this is that if you are doing something more high-tech, technically challenging, and maybe that is and quality is more important to you than cost, then actually you should think about Taiwan. And Taiwan is better than ShenZhen for those kind of cases. And also, Taiwan is quite close to ShenZhen anyway, so a lot of resources are integrated to satisfy you. Okay, and then next question is, when are you ready? When should you go to China? And then if you are doing a hardware startup, you know that iteration cycle is long and challenging. And then you have different moving parts. You have your software components, you have your hardware components, you have your design components there. And I will always tell people that you should actually do a lot of things locally first until you have that working prototype. The reason is that now you have a lot of techniques like 3D printers and then local makerspace and or university labs to help you to do that. Because China is good at production. It means that they like to do things at scale. And they are not there to help you to tackle your design or technical challenge. If you haven't really sorted that out and you go to China, every error you make is gonna cost you a lot of money. And they're not gonna help you with that. And then so be sensible about where you are. Are you reaching the final working prototype yet or not? If you are there working towards to design for manufacturing prototype, that's the time you need to think about China. And if you're not there yet, China is really not that helpful for you. Okay, so what else China can offer apart from manufacturing? Because in a hardware world, everyone think about China just for manufacturing. But actually, China can offer much more than that. First thing is about capital. It's about money. If you are doing a hardware startup, you know you need more capital than software, than web, than mobile startups. But sadly, in Europe, not so many investors are active investing in hardware company. Do you guys know why? The reason is because you need bigger check. And also, you have probably higher failure rate because there are so many moving parts that everything can go wrong. And for them, the risk is just high. And also, if they don't have the background in hardware, they are scared. They don't really know whether you can put out or not, and they don't have knowledge to judge. But that's not the case in China. So in China, actually getting capital is easier. And I can argue Chinese investors are probably even more active than investors in Silicon Valley. So if you are doing a good deal, they will follow, they will invest in you. And another important thing for hardware companies is that they are comfortable investing in hardware companies. Because they've done that many times, like Xiaomi and others. So they know how that works, and they know how they can help you. So if you can really get capitals from China and coming back to talk to European investors, that's a different conversation. You will say, oh, I raised $1 million already from this VC. They've done A and B and C hardware deal before. And then now I need some money to support operation in Europe. Do you want to be in? For them, the risk is much, much lower. And the next one is that in the hardware space, everything is about volume. You want to sell more, and then so your cost will go down. And China is a big, big market. And if you have raised some money on Kickstarter, going to the similar platform in China to double, to triple your volumes can really help you a lot. So if you have more volumes there, your unit cost will go down. Have you guys heard of a company called Alibaba? Yeah. So they did a one-digit festival on November 11th. In a day, do you know how much revenue they have generated in a day? Sorry? Yes, 14.3 billion. That's scary. And that's how big Chinese market is. Okay, so for me, and because I've been in a hardware space for quite a while, mainly in London, and so I've been thinking about how I can really generate or organize my resources to make us useful. So now we are actually doing a 3-month program, and then to take company to China with investment. And then so we want to help companies to get investment ready so you can raise more money from Chinese investors, manufacturing ready to get all the top OEMs, ODMs come to help you. And also distribution ready, so help you to sell more in China. And that can help you on your bottom line. And we're gonna announce that probably next month sometime. And before you go, just think about my talk. Think about what you have learned so far. First things, what can we learn from Chinese companies? Are they more than copycat? How they apply their local knowledge to their product, to their market? And second thing, why do you want to go to China? Is it about cost, volume, labor, or their OEM expertise? And the next one is about when. Have you guys sorted out your working prototype yet? If not, maybe it's not ready yet for you to go there. And last one is, what can you get out of China more than manufacturing? How about the capital? How about the distribution channels? And those are the takeaway for you guys. And this is me, and that's my Twitter handles, my email. And then if you feel you are ready to go to China, and then talk to me, and I can help you. And then even if you are not, also you can talk to me, and I will try my best to help you. And if you have any questions, again, you can email me, or you can ask me now. Anyone? Questions? Yep.
I guess I'll go first. So, what's your advice on marketing to the Chinese market, or advertising to the Chinese market? Because probably people from the West and from the U.S. have a different idea of what it takes to make a product desirable for their markets. But what about China?
Yeah, that's a good question, but that's also very broad, because in Chinese market, if you are looking at the high end, look at what Apple has done. You are looking at middle end and low end, and the strategy varies. But what I will always say is that I personally feel like Chinese people are really, really interesting people in a way that they have sense of pride, and then so that's why they like to support local products, but they also secretly admire the things from the Western world. So if that's a UK brand, that's a European brand, that's a US brand, that actually means something to them as well. And how do you actually play with their kind of mindset, and to play on your strength, selling to them, is something you can really think about. And then yeah, as I say, then you can go down to then which target are you target at? Is that high end, middle end, and low end? And then you will have different strategies based on that. Yeah. Thank you.
Do you hear? Is hearing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How much they charge the companies like Dragon Innovations or other manufacturing partners? Is it equity based or is flat?
So different people doing things differently. Like for Dragon Innovations, they are purely service firms, and you can check their websites for their price. And then
Usually, like
so I really don't know. I really don't know.
not
I know.
specifically to Dragon Innovation, but companies like manufacturing advisors or third party.
No, it's a really difficult question, because it comes down to what do you need from them. Do you want them to check whether your product is feasible? Do you want them to help you to source factories? Do you want them to help you to manage factories? Do you want them to help you to even produce some things? And then so there are a really, really wide spectrum there. So that's why that question is difficult. And then so I will ask you is that, what do you need from them? What are you lacking now? Do you know? Do you have any?
No, it depends. Just I want to know like a rule. It's a equity based charge,
So
or
for PCH actually have their own kind of investment wing, and then so if they like you, they take your project, they will negotiate a deal with you. So they will tell you, this is my standard fees, but then I'm gonna discount my fee in return for equities, and then so there's a room for negotiation. And Dragon Innovation don't do that, but they have a associated VC called BOLT, BOLT, and they will do their deal as a VC firms to give you
I'm
money.
asking just to take care of about the production.
Yeah.
I sending them everything, and they care about the production and the quality test and everything.
And that's a difficult question to answer. It really depends on how complex your product is and how you negotiate that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? There is one. Oh, okay.
Hey, so my question is not hardware related, it's software related.
Yeah.
And I would just like to ask you, what's an usual way for SaaS service to enter the Chinese market? Enterprise level, but also in SMB level.
Well, firstly, that that's not really my expertise. My expertise in hardware. And then secondly is I think that it's just the same as like how you actually tackle different US and then Asian markets there. And what's the values that you provide? And how can you actually solve the problems that Chinese market needs there? And then when it comes to position yourself, yeah, you need to rethink about the language. And also, I think for me, the beauties about hardware is that hardware don't have the language barrier. So I can sell this in China, and then there's no need for menu. There's no need for the changes on the UI on the language. But for software, you have a lot of nuance there. You need to really understand what's the kind of UI habit, and then and how do you follow that? And then those are the things you probably need to think about before you go there. Yeah.
The last question.
It concerns the basic fundamental problem of quality control.
Yeah.
Which comes often into discussions regarding China. There's the good China and there's the bad China.
Yeah.
For example, like Philips or Lexus, completely read out of China, think it's unmanageable. It's not a matter of cost, it's simply unmanageable. Lexus also made a decision not to move into China because they said we simply cannot get the quality standards that we need.
Yeah.
So how manageable is that or not? The only example I have is Apple, but that's Foxconn related. So
yeah. So we work with Foxconn as well. So for a company like Foxconn, first tier companies there, they if you want to work with them, firstly you need to have big volume, and secondly that they become more like investors. They pick the company they want to work with as well. They want to see whether you have the potential to be the next PayPal or this and that. And so that's why we bring a lot of top tier OEM partners, because they are looking for what's the future coming from in the hardware space as well. If you are doing something exciting, they become more like investors. They will negotiate with you. They will say, like for Foxconn, for example, they even have their VC wins. They will write a check for you and also doing manufacturing for you. And so that leaves a lot of room for negotiations and also for collaboration. And then those big guys know how to do quality control. But then you also have boutique ones. They are good in some specific things there. And then I think smart startups need to really find them. If you, let's say you are doing drone, and then which company are really good at drone, what I've done before, and then what's the quality there, and then get reference, get this and that, and then you will know, you'll get a sense how decent they are. And then yes, there are a lot of low-end partners there. That's why I would always suggest you go there with some partners. They know how to work with Chinese, how to do the quality control things there before you go. Yeah. Thanks.
Is it what usually happens with Foxconn, for instance? They just break the product into parts and just have different factories in China manufacture different parts of the iPhone, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So no one has the actual whole design of the product, or has it gotten better lately? And
No, Apple is always doing that. So they will actually just give you different components. Even internally, if you are in the iPhone team, you work on small parts that you don't really know what's the whole pictures of the iPhone. And then so that's the same strategy they do with OEM. So they are really sensitive about their IP. But then for startups, and there are two things. One thing is that if you are doing something that, yeah, your secret sauce, you want to keep it. And how do you keep it? And do you want to do the Apple ways there? You can find different kind of factory to do different parts. And you can find a factory to do assembly. So no one is really knowing what you do, right? One thing. The second thing is I always want to ask startups is that, what's your defensible? So people are thinking about, can I get patents? Can I get this and that? That's, yeah, those work, but those just, to be honest, lazy. You need to do something, or you need to think something more than patent to protect you, right? And then do you do something smart on the software layers there? Do you get sensors and you have some smart algorithm that do something that no one can copy? Or do you have strong community behind you, like GoPro, right? So GoPro has a really strong community behind them. So if now you do a GoPro copycat, you cannot compete with GoPro. That's defensible there. Or you have strong relationship with retailers, with whatever's there. You need to think about what make you defensible, that even other people copy you, they cannot compete with you. Yeah, and so I think that there are two levels. One is about your IP protections, and the second one, which is to me more important, how do you make yourself defensible? So copycat are just behind you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Cheers.